So where'd you all come from? When I sat down, there was only about 5 people here. Welcome. I read you couple of stories before. Years ago, when my grandsons lived with me, we used to have to write a story every week. And so I've trucked out one of them. This was actually the original story. This is a story about Grandma. I'm not sure whose grandma she is, maybe yours. She's kind of a grandma to all the boys and girls on the street. Every morning, Grandma and Grandpa work in their front garden. They put all their garden in the front yard, not the back, so they could visit with the children on the street as they walked to school. Every day at lunchtime, Grandma fixes a nice bowl of homemade soup. And then Grandpa pretends to read the newspaper while he falls asleep in his big chair, and Grandma knits. If you had been a fly on the wall of Grandma's living room the day I'm talking about, you would have seen Grandma quite suddenly change her thinking and change her life. She was knitting away the same as always, thinking about all the things she normally thought about, and then quite suddenly, she changed. She put aside her knitting, she stood up and walked to the hall stand where she took down her hat off the peg and fastened it on her head with her grandmother's hat pin. She put on her white gloves, she took down her purse, and she headed out the door. When she got to the end of the street, she stopped a moment, took off her gloves, and put them in her purse. She took the hat pin out of her hat and put it in her purse. Then she took the little flowered hat off her head and flung it way over into the next street, where it landed right smack on the head of Spinster, the old border collie who lay sleeping on her back porch. Grandma's footsteps quickened, and she visibly picked up speed as she headed for the business on the next corner. If you had been a fly on the wall of that business, you would have seen Grandma pointing excitedly and whispering with the salesman. You would have seen her taking her checkbook from her purse and writing out a check and handing it to the salesman with a bow. You would have seen the salesman bow in return and hand something to Grandma. What was it? A key? But Grandma's going to keep us in suspense just a little longer as she walks across the road to the mall. When she returns, all her grandmother clothes will be gone, and she'll be wearing pink leather-look jacket, pink leather-look pants, pink riding boots, pink leather-look gloves, and a fuchsia riding helmet with gold stars and silver glitter stars. She'll take her key, she'll climb on and fire up her brand new, beautiful, big blue Harley Davidson. If you were a fly on the wall of the living room when the great thundering rumble happened in the driveway, you would have seen Grandpa wake with a start and run to the driveway to find Grandma holding out an extra helmet and yelling, "Welcome to the new me. I changed my thinking today, and I'm changing my life. I'm not going to be the way grandmas are supposed to be anymore. It doesn't matter to me if people think I'm crazy or not. From now on, I'm going to live the kind of life I want to live, not the kind of life people think I should live. And what I want to do is go on adventures. You coming?" Well, what could Grandpa do but jump on behind? And when somebody invites you to really live, do you say no? "Where to?" asked Grandma. "Well," said Grandpa, "I think the first stop ought to be the mall. Do you think they have those riding duds in blue?" What would you really like to do? Something wild and crazy? Is there something you're not doing for fear people might think you're a little bit crazy? Or going a little senile? Or you might embarrass yourself? Or your mother might not approve? Or you might be afraid you'll make a fool of yourself? Or you really might make a fool of yourself? But all those things hold us back, don't they? We do, and it all starts really young. We all get those messages that, calm down, sit down, be quiet. Don't play with the kids before bedtime. They'll get all excited. Children should be seen and not heard. Remember all that stuff? Those little subconscious messages we got about how we weren't supposed to live out loud. We were supposed to live quietly. We weren't supposed to, as the Buddhist monk did, give it everything we got no matter what we're doing. For me, the incident I remember, it wasn't traumatic, but it just sticks in my mind a whole lot. I was about 15. I was in high school. I was hosting a class party at my house in the basement. And in those days, we were perfectly happy to dance around the basement, around the octopus furnace, have a little fun. And I can remember running up the stairs to get some food or something. And my mother saying, slow down. When you get excited, your voice goes up a whole octave. And it was like, oh, is there something wrong with that? It took me 40 years to realize what a blessing I had in my voice. When I'm warmed up and practicing, I've got a full 3-octave range. But keep it down, a little bit small. So we've all got these incidents in our life, haven't we? When we were told to not embarrass our parents, to not embarrass ourselves. Our lives, our children's lives, are not to make our parents' lives comfortable. My kids don't get to live their life in order to make me comfortable. And I don't have to live my life in order to make my parents comfortable. Parents give us these messages. They think they're doing the best for us. They want us to be acceptable socially, and they want us to have friends, and they want us, to not, and they think they're doing their best for us. But how repressed are we all? What would we really like to do that we haven't done? Nowadays, parents tell their kids, you can do anything you want. You can be anything you want. You can have anything you want, right? And that's true. And sometimes it gets misinterpreted, and kids think it means you can be a little princess and I will give you anything you want. Right? It doesn't mean that. That's not really what it means. It means, yes, you can have anything you want. You have a right to have anything you want. And you have a responsibility to do what it needs to do to have that come to be, right? So yes, you have a right. And you're the one. We really do our children a disservice when we do for them, instead of teaching them how much they're able to do for themselves, encouraging them, telling them you've got free will, you've got free choice. And if you choose to do this, the likely result of that choice will be so-and-so. But we try not to tell them you can't do that. Just let them know what their choices are and let them make that free choice. And by the way, that's how God treats us, right? Natural consequences. You have rights, you have responsibilities. You make this choice, this is likely to happen. And it points out so beautifully the two aspects of God that we talk about, as God as being both love and law. So the nature of God is love, absolute loving, absolute givingness. You have a right to everything you want. Here it is, here it is, here it is. God is love. And then God as law. Meaning, and law means always. Never changes, no variables. It's always this way. When you do this, this happens. So God doesn't judge the choices we make. God gives us infinite free choice, and we get to take responsibility for the ones we take. Oh, hard, huh? It's hard. That's the toughest lesson we'll ever learn in our life. Because we think taking responsibility means we're blaming ourselves for something. And it would be a whole lot easier to blame somebody else, wouldn't it? But it's empowering to know that when we make decisions, we get to influence our lives. Nobody else can shape our life unless we give away our